You know what time it is. It's another episode of Her Brothers Got Next. I'm Kwab. Of course, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Darian. Darian, what's going on, man?
I'm good, man. You know, always looking forward to another week of A Brothers Got Next of
Yes, sir.
our podcast. We got, some great topics to talk about today. And I'm really interested in one that we get later on in the show about. I think it's fun. I cannot wait to talk about that.
Oh yeah, we got some good stuff for y'all. We got some good stuff. Let's get right to it, man. We're gonna start in the NFL, as you always say. You love to say it's our bread and butter. So we'll get right to it, y'all. So the Tush Push, very popular play. The Eagles run it. It's a one. You run Jalen Hurts up the middle. The O-line's behind him, pushing him. It's turned into kind of a controversial play because it's deemed unstoppable. Now, it's been stopped like a couple times, but it's still very difficult to stop it. But of course, every other team can try it too, but they just don't do it as well. So late last week, the Green Bay Packers were the first team, and I believe the only team so far to propose the NFL to ban the Tush Push. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on the Packers doing that, and if you think it should be banned.
Sounds like a lot of hating to me, but when it comes
it does.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You're not gonna get a long answer from me on this. I've always been a big believer when it comes to any play or player. If they're doing something that's unstoppable, we'll stop it. Mm-hmm. That's on you. That's not on them to ban it because you feel like it's an unfair advantage for the league or for you. Stop it. You find a way to stop it. That's what great teams and great players do. Like you find a way, you adjust, just like in any other sport, you try to find a way to stop the best player. When it comes to basketball, people couldn't stop Michael Jordan. You just couldn't stop him. I mean, what, you gonna ban him? Like, we're gonna ban Michael Jordan? No, you ain't banning him. You know what I mean? You stop him, but you couldn't stop him. That's how great he is. Same thing when it comes to a team. Like, if they're that great, you have to stop them. Like, he's a grown man. This is not high school. This is not, pee-wee football where, you have mercy rules and all that kind of stuff. No, this is grown man football. You figure it out. Be smart enough. You have some of the smartest defensive coordinators in this league. Y'all need to figure that out. Y'all need to figure out how to stop it. And again, to your point in the beginning, why did other teams just do it?
Yeah, you can do it too. Yeah.
Right. Oh, they just can't be successful enough as the Eagles. Why can't you? Literally, all it is, I'm going to be honest with you. Let's just keep it real. All it is a quarterback sneak with people pushing you behind. You tell me you can't copy that? It's not really.
Jalen Hurts is a strong dude. Like, he's known to be a big squatter, but like, it's not like he's, 6.
Yeah, like he's a Hulk.
Yeah, he's not 6'6", 250 either.
Yeah. Okay, I'm giving an example. So why do the Bills do it? Josh Allen is a beast when it comes to that.
They tried to. Remember, they tried to do it against. They tried to do it against the Chiefs, and they couldn't get 1 yard.
That's insane. Well, that's not on the Philly. That's on your
Philly. That's on
your execution. Like, again, this is a grown man sport. This is a big boy grown man sport. You better stop it, or it's going to keep happening. And if they keep winning, then so be it. Until you stop it. You know what I mean? Again, I'm gonna use the analogy again, like of Jordan. He was winning 2-3 peats. You couldn't stop him.
What if they're like, we got to ban? He can't take any more mid-range jumpers. We got to ban
exactly.
That.
Right. He can't take no more fadeaways. Okay, well, stop it.
It's an unstoppable shot. We're going to ban it. Imagine if they banned the fadeaway jumper.
They just say the same thing about Kareem's shot, the hook shot. Remember? That's unstoppable. Well, I ain't banning it. Stop the shot. Figure out how you can block it. Figure out how if you, before he gets into the form of it, slap the ball. I don't know, do something. But this whole notion of we get rid of the Tush Push because you feel that it's unfair because they were beating y'all. Stop it. It's just hating, man. Like, y'all are grown men. The defensive coordinator, figure it out. Figure out how to stop it.
And my whole thing is too, if we decide we're going to ban this play, then what does that mean for future plays? Like, remember when the Wildcat was like a big thing for a little while? Wildcat, when the Dolphins started the Wildcat.
To stop it, though? That's why you don't see as much
people finally figured out how, we get it. But at first, it was like tearing the league up. Like, everybody's doing the Wildcat. And I think eventually teams, they're not going to stop it every time because it's just a 1 yard run. It's going to be hard to stop. It's hard to stop that period. But I think eventually, it's taken a little while for this one, but eventually there's going to be a defensive coordinator that just like, I understand how to stop this. Maybe we bring people from the edge, a corner from the edge, a corner blitz. I don't know, whatever. I'm just making up stuff. But like, eventually it'll get figured out. But if they ban it, that would be a shame. And shame on the Packers too. Like, we should ban that play. Like, Come on
I have
now.
to have a talk with our boy Kahar about that.
He's
Yeah.
probably going to defend it like, I think they should. Like, come on.
Well, I will say this. Okay, remember when they played Washington? It was getting a little ridiculous 4 or 5 times. The guy kept hopping over to try to time it.
Oh, that was bad.
So I think when it comes to that, they have now the NFL's going to figure out how many times you can do that without. All right, we're going to penalize you. You know what I mean?
How many times you could do the tush push?
No. So like when
try to jump over the
I forgot
line.
the guy's name, man, he's a really good player. The Samoan dude, but yeah, he kept jumping over to try to time it. He was pretty much trying to do a Troy Polamalu, but basically, he kept doing it too early.
Penalties,
right?
Yeah.
And I think after a while, you just have to be like, all right, or just either give them the touchdown or you give them the penalty right. Where I don't know how much closer you get to the end zone because they're right at the half-yard line. So I don't know. You got to figure something out. But yeah, you can't have that.
I think that's going to happen. I think either, like you said, they'll either award a touchdown if you can't have 4 straight encroachment penalties,
right?
So or 10 straight. Yeah, I'm gonna do it all game. So yeah, they're either gonna just award them the touchdown, or they'll probably just disqualify the player. Like you can't get 5 encroachment penalties. Like
right, exactly. But yeah, as far as getting back to the original question, should they ban it? No, stop it.
No, and I don't think the NFL will. I don't think they will. All right,
you see more teams copycat it.
They've tried. I don't think. Yeah, they'll try.
They'll try.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to the next topic, man. So obviously, one of the big he's not necessarily a free agent at the moment, but one of the quarterbacks that's been in talks to be on a different team this season is Matthew Stafford, obviously of the Rams. And there's a couple of teams that may be interested in trading for him. One of those teams includes my Steelers, the Raiders, and the Giants. Now, you don't necessarily have to pick between those 3 teams, but do you think one of those teams would be a perfect fit for Stafford? Would you like to see him stay with the Rams? Would you like to see maybe a different team that's not one of those 3 go after him? And what are your thoughts overall on Stafford as a quarterback right now? Like, would you be willing to give up? I personally think a first round pick would be a lot, but would you be willing to give up maybe a 3rd rounder and a 4th rounder, or heck, would you be willing to give up a 1st rounder for Stafford?
Okay, yeah. Let me go back because I know you asked kind of 3-4 different questions in that one.
Overall, where do you think he would be a great fit?
So personally, I think Matthew Stafford should stay with LA. That's just me personally. They were a play away from almost beating the Philly.
Yeah, seriously. Right? Yeah.
So you have a good young team with the Rams. You have a great coach in Sean McVay there. I personally wouldn't want to leave. Now, I don't know if it's more the Rams want to do this or him. I don't know.
He wants a new contract.
Right. I know this conflicting reports of like they want to keep him, but they want to obviously don't want to pay him big numbers. But see, my problem with I'm going to just go with the teams you named, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Steelers. It seems like, well, I'll take the Giants out of this equation, but at least with the Raiders and Steelers, they need to stop doing these quick fix kind of things. Like, think about the future, right? I get it. You don't want to be bad for 2-3 years to rebuild. I know nobody wants to rebuild. I get that. No organization wants to rebuild. But in reality, in any sport, this is how it works, man. Like, you're going to go through rough years. You're going to go through times where you have to rebuild, and things are not – you may not win right away, or you may take some time to win. So, as far as the Raiders and the Steelers, especially the Raiders, like, stop getting these quarterbacks, these stopgap quarterbacks that you know you're not going to win with, or you're not going to the playoffs. You're definitely not winning the Super Bowl with. Like, get a quarterback and stick with them and let it ride out where over time is improvement. Yeah, you might be bad for a little bit. That's fine. But I think also fans appreciate when you have a plan, right? Like a process. Like, okay, look, we got this new quarterback. He's going to be our future. It may be rough for like a year or two because he's a rookie and we got to build a team. I think fans want that because then once you're good, hopefully you're good for a while. Look at the Commanders. Yeah. Like, they're going to be good for a while now. You know what I mean? They were horrible for how many years now? With 20 years?
Long time. This was their first good season. Because remember, even the year they made in 2020 when they won the East, and they I think they were like 7-9? They weren't even that great.
They almost beat the Bucks. Believe it or not.
Yeah, that was close.
Yeah, it was.
That was the Super Bowl. That was the Bucks Super Bowl team. Yeah.
Right. They almost beat the Bucks. Yeah, man. I'm just tired of these organizations getting these stopgap. I'm sorry. The other question you were asking me, what is Matthew Stafford now? He's still good. Don't get me wrong, he's still good. But he's pushing 40. Like, he's not the future. Like, if you're telling me he's going to a team that has everything else around him, good D, he got weapons, he got a running back, and it's a 1 year, like, okay, we're going to try to win for this year. Great. Then I think that makes sense. But the Giants, no, even the Giants, and I, to be honest with you, I don't even think you should go to the Giants.
Why?
Exactly. They're a horrible organization. Horrible. No, the GM, I mean, Dable, I don't put a lot of blame on him because look, they gave him no quarterback. And
he still took them to the playoffs.
And so took them to the playoffs, right.
Yeah.
They have the coach, but the organization's not good, bro. And, like, he's not going to be the deciding factor if he goes there like, oh, okay, now they're a Super Bowl team. Nah, they're not. I mean, even with him, they're still not I don't even know if they're a playoff team. They're probably improved, but they're like a playoff team.
Yeah.
And you got one weapon, and you got Neighbors, and that's it. Who else you got? Like, they have no running back. They have no other receivers.
Their O-line's not good.
Exactly. So why would you want to go there?
You're going to get killed there.
Exactly. Unless you just want to go there to end your career in a high, like, market, like you're in New York, okay, great, I guess. But, I mean, and then the Raiders and the Steelers, like I said, like, I'm talking from the Raiders and Steelers standpoint, they should not want that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Try to find a quarterback you're going to have for the future. Like, yeah, it may take some time, but you're going to have to go through that. Every organization goes through it.
And I think that's the stubbornness of the Steelers, right? Like, they're so focused on never being bad. And it's been, as a fan, it's been cool, although it's been a little more frustrating over the last 5-6 years because they haven't made progress. Like, they get to the wild card round and they get blown out. So I think for me, it's easy to say this. Probably I should say it's hard to say this as a fan. I wouldn't mind if we had like a bad season, meaning like, oh, we may get our franchise quarterback now. You know what I mean? So like, or for example, if they decided to go the route of Justin Fields, he's still pretty young, still a little raw, still some things he can work on. I would be okay with that because like you're saying, at least we get younger. Like at least it's a guy that if he looks good, he can still be our guy for the next 10 years. I think there are certain situations where a veteran quarterback does make sense, and you painted the picture. I don't want to get too repetitive. Like, if it makes sense and you don't have too many other weaknesses, I think that's what the Falcons thought they had with Kirk Cousins. But then Kirk Cousins went Kirk Cousins, and he just I've always been I've liked Cousins more than other people, but it just got really bad. So. Yeah, I agree, man. It's like the same thing with Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, oh, who should sign Rodgers? It's like. Exactly. Rodgers is 41, whatever, came off an Achilles, and he's just not as good anymore. And that's fine. Just leave, just retire.
And so you can do what you want, man. Like, look at the Bears, look at the Panthers, right? Now, everybody was getting on Bryce Young after the first year. Did he look awful? He did.
Yeah.
Look at the improvement he had this year, especially that second half of the season. So now if you're a Panthers fan, you should have some kind of optimism about, you know what? He actually looked pretty good that second half of the season.
It looked really good.
Get him some weapons and build an O-line. Who knows? They have a good running back. Now, the receivers are a little, they still got to get him weapons. Mm-hmm. But he has a good running back. I like the coach, a good young coach. I think he at least looks like he knows what he's doing. If you get him weapons and get him the good players, who knows? The Panthers could be a playoff team in the next year or two.
And that division is not great. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Bears. Now, the Bears are in a tougher division, but Caleb had a rough rookie year, and I put a lot of that on the coach because I don't think
Eberflus. Well, he's going to be good for y'all because he's doing just defense. Like, that's perfect.
Exactly. But he was just a good head coach. Now he's going to get a really good offensive head coach, a new philosophy. You know what I mean? So you got to have patience as an organization, and fans have to be patient too because every team goes through a rebuild.
Yeah.
You can't win forever. Ain't nobody doing UCLA, the back in the day, the Celtics, they ain't winning 11 in a row. 18, that's not happening anymore. Most sports, you may not even get back to back sometimes.
I agree. Yeah.
Hell, three-peat, that's like non-existent. So if you get back to back, it's like, oh wow, they did something. You know what I mean? So fans and organizations, they just need to be patient. Like you pick a quarterback, develop them, you see the improvement, see growth, right? You build a team up. Don't try to do these quick fixes like, oh yeah, we're gonna plug this guy in and hopefully it works out. And then when it doesn't work out, you're trying to do the same thing. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So
I think you nailed that, man. It's just enough with these teams looking for a quick fix. Like, you can't just put a Band-Aid over a large wound. Like, you gotta.
It's a large wound. That's a large.
They need surgery, but they're trying to put a little Band-Aid on it. Like, nah, man.
A little Band-Aid is like an offensive lineman.
Yeah, like you need a left tackle. Like, yo, we got to get a left
linebacker.
Yeah,
maybe a safety. That's a Band-Aid, right? A quarterback, no, that's a big wound.
Yeah, that's a gunshot. You can't put a little.
Right.
You can't put a little. You know when you get your shot at the doctor, they put the little dot one on there. They just like, come on, man. So I agree with you on that. All right, let's move on, man. This is interesting. So the NFL Players Association, the NFLPA, came out with their report cards for all of the NFL teams. So their 2025 team report cards. I don't know. I know you had a chance to look at this, but there were some really interesting grades. So some of the things that they graded, I'll quickly go through all of them. Treatment of families, food/dining area, nutritionist/dietitian, locker room, training staff, weight room, strength coaches, team travel, head coach, and ownership. Okay. So they graded all of those from a letter grade from A.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the list. I'm laughing.
It's all good. So from A+ to, first of all, why are they giving out F minuses? It should just be an F. What is an F minus?
Right.
An F
I mean,
minus?
we're looking at a D minus. Just give a D. D.
But an F minus is crazy.
Anything. If you get a D, it's like you got a D. I got a D plus.
F minus is like you failed and you failed miserably, like badly, like damn. So anyway, I want to ask you what grades stood out to you that you saw of all those categories with all these NFL teams. What are some that stood out to you?
So I'm going to start with our team. So I'll start with my team because it's up here. Okay. So overall, they got a B.
I'm looking at it too. Yeah, I'm looking at your team.
Yeah, they got a B. I'm not really okay. So when you break it down in these categories, yes, like treatment of families, Dallas got an A. I could see that. Yeah, I mean Jerry Jones. I will say if you're a player of his, and you're in the care of his players, he's going to treat you good, right?
He takes care of his players. Yep.
Food and dining area. I mean. Yeah, AT&T is a nice stadium, so I'm not surprised at that. I forgot actually didn't get an A. The nutrition and dietitian, and now that I don't know because we're not in the.
Yeah, it's hard to know some of that stuff. Yep.
Locker room, yeah, I actually went into the Cowboys locker room. That's a nice locker room.
Beautiful, so, isn't it? Yeah.
Training room. I got a C. That's weird because they say Dallas has one of the best training facilities in the in all of the NFL. I'm saying that's what people say. So, training room C, I thought maybe that would be a little higher. Training staff, yeah, obviously that just depends on who's the coach. So I get that could fluctuate. Their weight room got an A. So that's another thing. So how did the hell that got an A minus, but you gave a C to the facility? So the weight room's good, but the rest of the facilities doesn't.
Maybe like the equipment's good, but the room's not good.
Yeah, like okay, like cool, right? They call it the same thing. Like depends who the coach is. So we know that. Team travel. I actually thought that would be higher. You got a B minus. I heard they travel.
Yeah.
But, then they gave the head coach an A. Well, he hasn't done anything yet.
maybe you know how sometimes when you have a professor, like most professors start you with an A and then you have to get an F. Maybe they're just starting them off with an A.
Yeah, like he's a clean slate.
He's never had a loss, so
that's true. Okay, this is why I'm in disagreement. They gave ownership a B. That should be a lot lower.
Okay, what should the grade be?
I've been a Cowboy fan for quite a long time. At best, I would give that maybe a C minus. At best,
you think that's a C minus?
That's a C minus at best. Yeah, I'm not giving it anywhere near even a B minus. Like it needs to be in that C. I'm not saying it's an F, but it's like in that C would tip into a D range. So I'm a. Yeah, so that I disagree with. Like, yeah, no.
I think if Jerry Jones wasn't also the GM, I would give them a high grade for owner. If he's just the owner, he's done a great job building that brand. We can't deny that.
Yes, right. So we can smoke off that. Then that's a right mark. But because he's the general manager and whatever else he does, that's why it needs to be lower. Because it's like, bro, you don't really have a real GM, so you're not right. Stop it. Like, you're a real GM. So that's why I said I would have gave that like a C minus at best, maybe a C. I may to be nice to give them a little thing. I'll give them a C, but that's at best. You know what I mean? That definitely nowhere near a B. So then let's go to your team. Your team.
Yeah, I'll read off my team right here. So
go ahead.
Scroll down. All right, man, they were kind of harsh. All right.
Yeah. So
treatment
family's good.
Treatment of families a C minus? Like, what are they just?
Sierra, I saw her in the skybox all the time when Russell.
Yeah, I guess they'd be like closing stuff early. Like, we had to close the kitchen. I don't know what they do with these families. Like, we don't have any more. We don't have any more waters. Like, we out. I'm like, oh, okay.
No, it's probably more rich stuff. Like, No, we ain't got no more filet mignon.
There's no more caviar.
Like, well, okay.
All right, so all right, I was like, all right, food and dining is a B minus. All right, well,
yeah.
Nutritionist, dietitian C plus. Locker room's a D. I guess their locker room's trash. I don't. Training rooms a C plus. Training staff's a B. Okay, weight rooms a C plus. Because I feel like you said, I feel like training room and weight room should have like similar grades.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I don't get that.
Strength coach is C minus. I wonder how they grade that. Is it just based off of like
probably the current coaching staff? Because that's what I'm saying. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to grade it that way.
Team travel is a B plus.
Okay, that's not bad.
Head coach is an A. This was the most shocking one. Ownership is a D.
How? How is
it? You know, so if you want to look at the criticisms of the Roonies, they hold on to people too long. They're too loyal to coordinators. They're too loyal to head coaches. So maybe it's that. Like, yo, why did you hire?
That's BS though, because okay.
Well, I agree, it's BS. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out why.
That thinks he's a GM. That's not a real GM. Yes, you can talk about him as an owner, like of the brand. Yeah, he built the brand great. Yeah, the brand is great, but our team sucks. I'm sorry, the Pittsburgh Steelers for the most part are good every year. So I don't understand how you can.
Yeah, how do you
to the ownership? Now I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, they get criticism to a fault for like
they're too loyal. Yeah.
Yeah, but you never hear about any controversy with them. They're one of the most stable organizations in all of sports. So I'm sorry, whoever gave that is bugging. Like, if you want to criticize that maybe I would bring it down to like I would bring it to maybe
it should be like a B minus if you want to do that.
Maybe a B minus at worst.
Because what's one of our biggest things with ownership, right? We stay out. Let the coaches coach.
Which they do.
Let the GM be the GM.
Which they do.
And they stay out. They put full trust in the people that they hired in those positions.
Which they do. So how do you equate that to a D?
You have an amazing brand. Like the Steelers are a top 5 NFL brand. I don't think you can deny that. How do you get a D?
Yeah, that's BS.
Wow.
Wow. That must be somebody that's just like he must have been a Ravens, Browns, or a Bengals fan that did that one because that thing.
Yeah. So the Jets got an F, sure.
Yeah, that was right on point.
You mean to tell me that we're right near the Jets though? Also, another one that was surprising is the Bucks are a D plus. The Bucks have actually been a pretty good organization.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
How do they get a D? And you know what I wish? I wish that they made these grades like you could click the grade and they'll like tell you why. Because like I need answers here. You can't just be like.
I do agree with that. Where like are bad, and we've been saying this for years. Arizona, yes, I agree with that grade. Carolina, yes, because we both don't like the owners. Like we've always talked about the owners.
How did Arizona's coach get an A though? Like what has he done? They haven't been in the playoffs with him.
Right, exactly.
Their weight room's an F. Oh no.
Who, the Arizona?
The Cardinals. Why is it an F? Then you go in there, they ain't got no like equipment. Like, yeah, there's no equipment in here. It's just like yeah. How do you get an F?
Yeah.
It's like old equipment, but like, yeah, I don't get that.
So I'm a little concerned with the Bengals too. They got multiple Fs in their lineup.
What they get Fs in?
F. So first of all, like you said, why the hell are we giving F minuses? Like, stop.
Yeah, that's a weird grade. Don't give F minuses.
So they got an F minus for treatment of families. So apparently they're deporting the families. They're deporting them. They're like, you know what? We don't like you. Get out.
What are they doing? Like they don't. I guess they don't be like cleaning bathrooms. I guess they don't.
We were joking before the show. They got an F for food and dining, and I made the statement that apparently they're taking them to the public school to get the square.
Yeah, they be having their little trays. They be having with the little like chocolate milk. Like, well, first of all, these are grown people. Like, what are you doing? It's like one of our favorite guns, our favorite movies, Naked Gun 33 and the Third. You're like, this is more like gruel. Like it's just like slop on there. Like, yo, what is this?
Exactly. So I'm a little concerned with them.
They got terrible grades. Well, they got A plus for their locker room.
Well, I was going to say after those two, it actually
gets good.
It gets a little better. Yeah, like so, locker room's an A plus, training room B. Training staff, weight room. Strength coach, the train travel. So I'm not understanding what.
Look at this. Look at this.
Head coach is not an A. I would give the coach maybe a B minus at best.
How about this? Do you want to know the team that got the best grades? Look at the Raiders. Look at the Raiders grades from the front to the back, B plus, A plus, A minus, A minus, A plus, A. How's ownership an A?
No,
Mark
no
Davis?
way. Yeah, no.
A.
Who did this list? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, yeah.
Wow.
You know, some of this other, and they're like, okay, they got Pete Carroll. They just got Pete Carroll, and he hasn't coached in like 2 years. How does he get an A minus already?
Also,
Yeah.
how are the Dolphins an A plus with ownership when like they had
No.
those? What?
He's like a racist dude, that Ross guy. Like,
Yeah, Stephen Ross.
like what you mean?
Stephen Ross
Like,
got an A. The whole stuff that went down with what's the brother's name? The defensive coordinator of the Vikings. What's the coach?
Brian Flores.
All the stuff that happened with Brian Flores and like
Oh,
how
what about the dude that got
remember he told them to.
the offensive lineman that got bullied? Remember him?
Oh yeah. Jonathan Martin, I think. But yeah, dude, remember the whole thing with Stephen Ross? He like told him to like lose games, like yo, you should tank, and he was just like, nah, I'm not. Brian Flores was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Right.
But the Steelers got a D.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
This is crazy.
Yeah,
Patriots ownership is not a D, man. Come on,
no.
Like Robert Kraft. People can think the Patriots. People can feel how they want to feel about Kraft. Is a good owner.
Like I said, the ones I do agree with are Arizona and Carolina and the Jets. Those are on point. That I'm gonna criticize because that we for years. First of all, with the Jets, we don't have to get into that. We on this show we've clowned the Jets so many times it's ridiculous. And then we've known the Carolina the owner, especially since he's taken over, he's awful. The Arizona owner, he's known to have been awful for years. So yeah, that's not breaking news. That's like, oh yeah, that's kind of on par.
Yeah.
But yeah, come on. The Steelers getting a D, the Raiders getting an A. Mark Davis is not a good owner.
So here's the thing. If you click on the team and it takes you to a separate page, and then you can click on why they did get the grade. So the Steelers ownership, it just says owner Art Rooney's average rating for perceived willingness to invest in the facilities is 6 out of 10 from the Steelers players, ranking 30 out of the 32 owners in the league. The players feel that Rooney slightly contributes to a positive team culture, which ranked 25 out of 32. The players feel that Rooney is committed to building a competitive team, which ranked 22 out of 32. So I guess those are the factors there. I need to read on why the Bengals got an F for food. That's the one I'm looking forward to reading.
Yeah, it's going to say they go to a public school. They're in line with the kids. Like, yeah, they're in line. So I'm looking at since you broke down the thing, I'm looking at the Cowboys one.
Okay, yeah, read that to me. Read one of them to me.
So, okay, ranking breakdown. So they got ranked for treatment and for families. They were ranked 4 out of 32. Food and dining, they were ranked 11th. Nutrition, dietitian, 17th. Locker room, it was 6th. Training room was 27th. Training staff was 30th. Weight room was 11th. Strength and conditioning, strength is 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Team travel was 23rd. Head coach is 14th. I mean, he got an A, I guess. And then ownership is 18 out of 32. And then let me see, because you said they give explanations, right?
Yeah, if you click on the team.
So here's the ownership for the thing. So it says owner Jerry Jones' average rating got perceived willingness to invest in the facilities is an 8 out of 10, which is really good.
Okay.
From Cowboy players. Ranking of 16 out of 32 in the league. So out of the players, he was really good. But in the league, about half the teams thought he was that he was doing a good job. The players felt that ownership slightly contributes to a positive team culture, which is 23 out of 32. I'm with them on. Players feel that ownership is committed to building a competitive team, 25 out of 30. Yeah. So those last two are on point. You know what I mean? Because that's how I feel. You know what I mean? As far as the facilities, yeah, I mean he has some of the best facilities. So
yeah,
so that's more on point. I can see how, from that, then he got a B. Because overall ranking, Dallas Cowboys got a 10 out of 32 out of every.
So here's why the Bengals got an F for food. So it says the Cincinnati Bengals rate their taste of the team's food a 4 out of 10. They rate the freshness a 5 out of 10, which is last in the league. They say that the dining area is a 5.9 out of 10, which is ranked 30th in the league. It says the Bengals players wish that more meals would be provided throughout the week. The team does not provide 3 meals a day and is only one of 2 teams to not do that. That said, the food area needs to improve. It says they began offering dinner on Wednesdays, and they finally began serving breakfast. They weren't serving it before.
Well, you know how that makes sense? Remember when Chad was playing? He also was going to McDonald's in the morning. Remember when you saw that? I'm like, oh, now that it makes sense. Like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, got it.
They finally added breakfast. They're like, you know what? You guys deserve it.
I was waiting for you to say they go to a public school and wait in the line with the kids. I'd be like, well, that's why it's an F.
Oh, guys. But yeah, if any of you guys want to check out these ratings, you could just simply Google team ratings NFLPA and you'll team grades NFLPA. But that was good stuff, man. We could go on through that list for an hour. Like, wait, why did they get this grade? I still don't know how the Raiders ownership got an A. Like, okay.
Because they added Tom Brady? He hasn't really done anything yet.
Yeah, I guess they're like looking ahead. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
So let's switch gears a little bit. We'll talk a little NBA. So this was interesting. So obviously, one of the biggest trades of our lifetime happened about a month ago with Luka going to the Lakers. And a lot of reports have started to come out about why that trade necessarily happened. So one recent report that came out was that, quote, the Mavs reportedly had an issue with Luka Doncic smoking hookah and drinking beer. So he said he did not paint a flattering portrait of a 25-year-old's professionalism. They called him lazy. They talked about his weight issues, which were frequent frustration within their walls. And once again, he had his taste for beer and hookah turned them off and became a concern. So you trade your superstar player because of beer and hookah. That's very interesting.
The beer thing I get because we saw that with our own eyes. Remember when they won it? You saw the picture,
Isn't that common though? Like in the locker room,
right. With the celebration. Now, I did think it was interesting when Michael Finley grabbed it from him.
Yeah, I did think that was interesting.
So obviously he knew something we didn't, right? Because if you're celebrating, nobody's really gonna say anything because you're like, oh, you're celebrating, you're going to the finals. That's a big accomplishment. Again, and I said this to you guys when everybody was making a hoopla of like, oh, why would they trade a 25-year-old? They know something we didn't know, right? Now, again, you can disagree with. Okay, even though that stuff was going on, you can say to yourself, I still would have traded him. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I wanted you guys to understand of where they were coming from. And it's legit reason. Like, they're looking for the future. They're about to give this guy $300-something million, and he has bad habits. So he's a grown man. You don't know if he's going to have the self-awareness or you can pay enough to get that stuff improved. You don't know that, So you're investing all this money, not knowing if that's going to improve or not. I get why they did it. Now, should they have done it? Maybe not. Yeah, because he's a great player. Who knows what the future holds and what he's going to do with the Lakers or wherever else he goes? Because now there's speculation he may not even sign with the Lakers. So, again, they saw stuff that the public and the press didn't see every day. Right? We're just seeing him play the game. Right? Obviously, he's a phenomenal player. He led them to a finals last year. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we saw it. But is that a one-off or is that something that's going to be consistent? Maybe they thought that wasn't going to be consistent. Maybe they thought that was just a one-off thing. Like, oh, okay, he did it that 1 year. But are we going to get back there? Because we've seen that in sports where we see teams, they go, we're like, oh, man, we think that's going to happen all the time. And it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they'll get back. Yeah.
Yeah, so, again, they made what they felt in the best interest of their franchise a decision to make. And again, it wasn't just a him being out of shape, beer, hookah. It was a financial decision. He was up for the Supermax. They would have to give him $300-something million. Let's just say for the sake of argument, they did that, right? They kept him. Y'all were happy. And then he goes and he's hurt all the time. Or his weight gets so out of control, it's like the Zion thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that. You're going to complain about that. Like, oh, dude, we're paying this guy $60-70 million a year, and this is what's going on. So we don't know what would happen. Now, obviously, we don't know the future. A lot will be told in the future of how these two organizations are going to go. Because, again, there's reports that Luka may not even stay with the Lakers. You know what I mean? So who knows where he's going to end up being at. And if he stays with the Lakers, let's see how successful they are. They may not, they may be a playoff team every year, but he may never go back to the championship. So I think fans And I understand that's why it's called fanatics, but fans just need to really step back sometimes, assess the whole situation, and calm down and say, okay, why did the Mavs do this? Like, Nico Harrison's not a dumb guy. Stop saying he's a horrible GM. He's not smart. He knows what he's doing. He saw stuff that we didn't see. Okay? So, again, you could disagree with that. Maybe he still should have traded him. And he traded a 25-year-old in his prime. I get all that. But we don't know what the future holds. Because he can end up looking like a genius if Luka ends up being injury prone or his play goes down. Nico's going to end up looking like a genius. And y'all going to have to eat crow and apologize to that man. Now, it can also be the opposite where Luka goes out and he ends up being a top 5, top 10 player of all time, win some chips. Then, we'll have to get on Nico. I'm like, Nico, I don't know if you should have done that that early. We don't know. So I think it's early to kind of judge how this thing is going to go. I think a lot of the Dallas fans' reaction of it is just it's emotional.
It's emotion. Yeah. I mean, you get rid of your superstar player.
Right, it's an emotional thing, but you don't know. Because I told you when this trade was made, I like the lineup they have, if healthy. Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, Gifford, the other big man they have. They still got PJ Washington. I like that lineup. Now, it's maybe a short-term thing because they're all older. Mm-hmm. It's not a long-term. But if they get one championship out of that, listen, Mad fans, you still should apologize to Nico. Because if they end up going far deep in the playoffs or even winning it, then you're still going to eat crow. Now, long term, Luka may win the trade, but I'm sorry, like the whole point of a team and a season is to win and to win the big one. I don't want to hear about future 5-10 years. I don't know. What are we doing right now? You know what I mean? Because we don't know what the future holds. I don't want to hear about the future. What are we doing right now? What is the team right now? You know what I mean?
So I think a couple, you said a lot of things I definitely agree with. Like, clearly there were concerns. You're not trading somebody in their prime at 25 if things aren't very concerning. But I think the question is, was it concerning enough to have to make that move? Like, was there still a chance that you could have had him change some of those habits? Because he's still a pretty young player. He's been playing pro ball for a long time. He's stayed relatively healthy. So it's not like his weight or his conditioning has necessarily kept him off the court. He's still the third highest scoring. He has the third highest scoring average in playoff history behind MJ and Wilt. So he's in a class of his own. You know, people can talk about him not being in shape all they want, but he led the playoffs in minutes last season and in scoring. So yeah, it doesn't mean that they're wrong. Like, we still want you to be in the best shape possible because it's only going to get, as we know, we're 40 now. It's tougher to get these workouts in, and your body doesn't react the same the older you get, especially if you haven't developed good habits over the years, right?
Right.
So I think, was it the right move by the Mavs? I think it's a wait and see approach. It's easy to say it wasn't now. I mean, especially since Anthony Davis legit got hurt in the first game he played there. And Luka Doncic has looked like a pretty good addition for the Lakers. He's starting to find his feet, trying to get into playing shape once again. Him and LeBron already seem to have really good chemistry. Like, they're catching each other on alley-oops already. So there's been some good chemistry and development there. I'm still surprised the Mavs made this move once again, because sometimes when you have a great player, you tend to tolerate some things. Let's just keep it real. The better you are, the more the team will tolerate. The worse you are, they'll get rid of you with the quickness. So, are those valid enough reasons to get rid of him, beer and hookah? I mean, it's not like the dude's doing cocaine. Like, it's not that big of to me, it's not serious enough where we say, all right, we're going to jeopardize potentially losing one of the biggest stars in the world. He's a global star. He's not an American guy. So there are people that love him all over the world. Mm-hmm. Is it worth doing that and potentially losing on millions of dollars? Because this was a business move too. Like, the NBA obviously is a large business, but this particular player draws so many fans here. I mean, you're having people not even coming to the games as much now. Now that's for now. If they win games, people are going to come back and start going to the games. So
right.
I thought it was just fascinating that what's finally starting to come out. And it's nothing surprising. We kind of like knew that it had to do with his conditioning and them thinking it was lazy. But my thing is, I'm wondering if this has lit a fire under Luka. If he's like, all right, well, I'm here to prove these guys that they made the biggest mistake ever. But like you said, we'll see how it turns out. Like, are the Lakers going to be able to be title contenders? Is he going to be there long term? I'm optimistic that he will be, but we don't know that. We don't know that. So
right. Because I was a little surprised when I heard the reports that he I guess it's not a lock for him to stay. Like I thought, when the trade was worked out, there was some kind of understanding of, okay, this is not just a rental, or this is not just like a short-term thing, and then he's going to be our future. He's going to stay because, LeBron ain't playing forever, that he would
really. He might play, dude. So I was talking to one of the interns at my job, and she is 21. She has never been, as long as she's been alive, LeBron's been in the NBA, which kind of blew me away. She's like, yeah, he's been in the NBA since I was born, and he's still in the NBA. Like, they don't know the NBA without LeBron, which is, these are adults. It's like, that's insane to me, man. So who knows how much longer LeBron's going to play. The Lakers actually look pretty good this season. I mean, I think they're the fifth seed at the moment, but they have a chance to get the fourth seed. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a fascinating playoffs for sure. Like, I'm very curious how far this team can get. They still have some flaws. They lack some size, but they're gelling, man. Austin Reeves is having a really good season. Like, their role players are playing really well. I mean, Reeves is averaging almost 20 points a game this year. So it's really going to take those key guys, your Hachimuras, guys like that, to see how far this team can go. But man, I still can't believe that trade happened, man. Still can't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little shocked at first, but then, like I said, I was a realist. Remember, I'm not a fan of either one of them. So I took a step back and looked at the whole picture, right, on both sides. Okay, from the Mavs side, from the Lakers side. Obviously, from the Lakers side, that's easy, right? We know why. But then I tried to really examine why the Mavs did this. And there were also reports that they looked at him like, okay, well, how you already act with doing hookah, drinking beer, and not being in shape, doing that. Imagine if you didn't really, put the effort to be great, right? Because I remember one of the quotes Nico Harrison made, or it was a quote that somebody said he had said was, well, he has the ability, or he has the wherewithal to become like a LeBron, Kobe, or Jordan.
Oh, for sure. He has that talent. No question.
We've ever known, right? And they're saying, imagine if he put that time in like they do, then it would have been no issue. It's like, okay, did we see the greatness? But if he's just kind of depending on his talent and kind of like, well, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to let my talent, and when it runs out, I don't care. Then I could see where Nico was coming from. They don't want that kind of attitude. Like, yeah, I'm just going to be, I'm young now, so I can do what I can do now. And then when we get in the later years, he's not productive because he didn't put in the time. So I get where he was coming from on that. And if I'm an owner too, I'm going to be a little concerned too. Now, would I still have made a trade? Maybe not. But I mean, I'm going to have some concern, or I would have, if I'm going to sign this guy long term, it's going to be some concessions in your contract. Like, hey, weight needs to be this. You can't be right. Drinking beer, hookah, that's out. You know what I mean? Only if it's like a celebration type thing. Like, yeah, no, there would be concessions in the contract. Yeah. So that could have been worked out. But again, maybe we didn't see everything that was going on behind closed doors. They saw more than we did. So maybe they thought like, this is not going to get better before, it's going to get, it's not going to be a thing of like, oh, it's going to get worse before it gets better. You know what I mean? They thought, yeah, this could get bad.
I'm hoping they awoke some real motivation in him, especially now playing with LeBron, seeing his work ethic.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows what this could lead to? Yeah. Right. So, man, but very fascinating stuff. So before we wrap up, man, obviously, he was a whole part of the trade deadline situation. The trade deadline, one of the most notable in NBA history. A lot of big moves. Of all the, what would you say stood out to you since that trade deadline? Whether it's a team, a player, or which move to you is like, wow, that ended up being a really good move. We'll put the Luka, we'll put the Lakers and Mavs aside for this one. Who else to you stood out? Stood out so far.
I mean, I think there's 6. Jimmy's been there.
Jimmy's been a great fit. Great fit.
On a roll, and what I will say, they're going to be very dangerous come playoff time because Jimmy is going to be able to guard the best player. Remember, he's a defensive guy. While he can also score, he's a great defender. So now you could put Jimmy. Now I'm just thinking about, let's say they play like a Lakers. Now the only thing with Jimmy is he probably have to be on Luka because LeBron's a little too tall for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So LeBron, you're just gonna have to kind of do like a team kind of thing. But as far as him being on Luka and then like, okay, LeBron, you're gonna have to be Jordan now to beat us. That's if that's the strategy, that can work. You know what I mean? Because he's 40, he ain't 30 or 25. So it's like, if you're asking LeBron to be the guy at this age, it's like, okay, that may be a winning strategy. So I like that. I like the Golden State, how they constructed in terms of Jimmy giving him scoring, giving him toughness, and then, like I said, giving him the defense that he's going to probably guard the best player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another team I look at is the Cavs, man. Getting DeAndre Hunter from the
Oh,
Hawks.
yeah. Good move.
That was a very slept-on trade. Nobody kind of talked about that. And I didn't realize how much he was averaging for the Hawks. He was averaging like close to 20 points a game.
Mm-hmm. Really good move.
Remember, they already had Devin Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
They already had Garland. They have Mobley. I mean, bro, they already had 3 or 4 good players. Now you add him, like, look, I'm not gonna go as far as say they're gonna dethrone the Celtics, but I'm gonna
shot though.
They got a damn good chance, a really good chance to do it because I mean, right now I see those two as the two, in the Eastern Conference Final, and I'm just saying right how it looks right now. I feel whoever comes out of there, I'm favoring them more to win it all. You know what I mean? And the Cavs, if they can dethrone the Celtics, they got a good shot to win it all. You know what I mean?
You favor the East this year?
I do because
do you not think OKC's ready?
I don't. I think because I watch them sometimes, so I do have the NBA League Pass, so I every once in a while tune into games and watch every once in a while. Sometimes it looks like OKC's just kind of going through the motions, and they look like they're depending on their talent more than
like scheme
out there. Yeah, scheme. Now they are good defensive team.
They're very good defensively. Yeah,
so that's one thing they do give effort on. But I think offensively, a lot of times they just kind of depend on their talent, right? Like, okay, I got the talent, I can do that. But do I see them beating a Boston or a Cavs in a 7-game series? I don't. I just think those teams have a little too much more, especially firepower. Because I look at Boston, I look at the Cavs. They have really good benches, not just the starting 5. They have good, coming off the bench. Now, coach-wise, I mean, it's probably even because you got, Kenny Atkinson, who's, been around. You know what I mean? He's a good coach. And then the Thunder's coach, for the last 2 years, he's been great. And then, obviously Boston, that whole Joe Mazzulla coming, obviously it started with, Ime Udoka, but you know what I mean? So coaching is probably about even, but I really like the Cavs, bro. I think
the Cavs are good. And I really like Darius Garland. Darius Garland's turning into one of the better, he's turning into one of the best players in the league, man. Like, people really need to start keeping an eye on him.
He just looks and seems different this year. Like, it's like something clicked where he's starting to get like, okay, I can do this and I can still be the best player, but be still where I got other guys that can still.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think there's as much pressure on him offensively anymore. Like, he doesn't. Right. He doesn't have to average like 28 a game. Like, he can give you 24, 23 a game, and you have so many other guys that are contributing now. So yeah, they're a dangerous team. I do like the OKC a little bit better than you do, especially since remember they haven't had Chet most of the year. Start to get him back into the fold. But like you said, I'm always gonna root for always gonna. Give an advantage to a team that's great as a defensively. Like, they're a great unit. It's not just one player. It's like they're good as a unit.
They are.
And Shai Gilgeous is MVP, man. So they're gonna be right in the mix. They were the number 1 seed last year, and they faced some disappointment in the semifinals. But now I think that's going to just take them to the next level. Of course, you're still going to have to deal with the Nuggets, who have some flaws, especially defensively, but they're still the Nuggets. They have that championship medal. We'll see what the Lakers can do. You got teams like the Grizzlies, but are they ready for that type of moment yet? They're the 2 seed right now. Same with the Rockets. I put the Rockets and the Grizzlies kind of in the same category. The Grizzlies have had more success because the Rockets are like a surprise. Like, oh damn, they're pretty good. The Grizzlies have, besides last year when they had all those injuries, they weren't good. But the year before, they were really good when the Lakers beat them. So they're going to be.
You're always going to have some surprises in the playoffs. Like, you always have that team that comes out of nowhere. Like, could that be a Warriors? Could that be a Mavs? Where you're just like, whoa.
And you know what? The Timberwolves haven't been great this year, but they still got some good players, man.
Of course. So yeah, remember, in the East and the West, you always get that team that's like, whoa, I didn't think they were going to go that far. So even though I think in the East is more solidified of who the top 2 teams are, and most people are saying
the problem with the Knicks is that they haven't really beat a lot of the good teams, man. They've been struggling against good teams,
and they're not really good on the road either.
Yeah, so
they're not good on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so man, and then the Bucks, they just can't stay healthy. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
Giannis is in and out the lineup. Lillard's in and out the lineup. I just don't trust them because of health. Yeah. So like I said, man, I mean, I think if you're asking me who's been most impressive during the trade, I would say Golden State and the Cavs.
You
Sure.
know, speaking of the Eastern Conference, though, a team I really want to give props to is the Pistons. They've had such an amazing turnaround.
They're gonna
they've won 8 straight.
They're gonna be. I can see them being like OKC next year. How the OKC's been the last 2 years. I can see them in the next year or two being that like, oh man, they're like the number 1 seed.
And man, watch out for them being a huge upset type team in the playoffs this year, man. Cade Cunningham is really turning into a really good player.
All-star this year.
Yeah. So I like what I'm seeing from the Pistons. They've won 8 straight. They haven't won that many. They haven't been that good since like Rip Hamilton and them and Billups. Like seriously, that's their longest winning streak in a long time. Yeah.
I mean, I think that coach deserves Coach of the Year. I mean, they were one of the worst. I mean, weren't they the worst team last year?
They were terrible. Dude, at one point they lost like 20-something straight games.
Yeah. So I mean, the coach, because it's the old Cavs coach, right? Who's coaching them, right? Got to coach the Cavs last year.
Is it JB Bickerstaff?
Yeah, JB Bickerstaff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he deserves Coach of the Year. Yeah, I think that's
I don't see why not.
I
think
I know they've been talking about JJ Redick, but here's the thing with JJ. Like, while you guys have improved, y'all were a playoff team last year. Y'all weren't like horrible. So like,
although it was the plan, but nah, I think Redick to have got to be a strong candidate for Coach of the Year, there needs to be like a top 3 or top 2 seed.
I agree, right? That's what I said. I said not a 4 or 5 seed, because I'm like, no, the Pistons, yes, because dude, they were horrible. Like they were a lot of
one of the worst teams ever.
Yeah, they're the 6th seed now in the East. You know what I mean? So it's like, nah, you have to give it to JB Bickerstaff. You have to. Because when people kept saying Redick, I'm like, no, I don't know about that. Because I'm like,
I like what I've seen out of Redick, though, man. I think with Redick, I was really impressed with. It was just one game, but I love what I saw in that Nuggets game. You know, that's been the Lakers' Achilles heel as of late.
Right.
And there were reports that came out about his preparation for that game, how he stayed up countless nights, like prepping for the Nuggets, and they ended up beating them by like 20. So it's like, you know, I really love his work ethic. It's actually been a solid move so far. We'll see how the Lakers do in the playoffs, but I've liked the Redick hire so far. I would, since we've been giving grades today, I'd give that grade an A so far.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
Lakers ownership though,
Marvin Ham. Don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, as far as the improvement from coach, and record wise, but like if you're talking about turnaround, it's not even close with the Pistons.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's not even close, bro. I mean, they've won what, like 8 or 9 straight?
8 in a row. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
as of this podcast, we're recording on
right. They won like 8 in a row. It's like, bro, JD Bickerstaff is the Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I think so too. But D, man, that's going to do it for episode 112 of What Brothers Got Next. I don't know if you have any final words before we peace out, but another dope episode, man. Always a pleasure doing it with you. We'll do episode 13 next week.
113.
What'd I say? 13?
Yeah, 13, yeah, 113.
Yo, I would love to go back and listen to our 13th episode. Like, what were we talking about back then?
I have to go back to. But no, man, just, as always, continue to support. We appreciate the support. We're looking for more subscribers, more listeners, more people to watch our YouTube channel. Obviously, we're still kind of in the infant stage of being on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, man, we definitely still appreciate, the subscribers we have.
Yeah, click that subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Please do.
Grow. And we still appreciate people listening to us on, all the other podcast platforms like, Spotify, iTunes, podcasts, listen to in your car. We still appreciate the listens too. But yeah, man, we just, like I said, we're just trying to grow this thing, and
click that subscribe button.
We always appreciate our day ones, but yeah, we definitely would love to have more people listen, more people watch and engage. And we got some big things coming up, this year. Obviously we could, look forward to the next NFL season, but we got some stuff even for, coming up in the spring and the summer, some big things going on. So stay tuned, and like Kwab said, continue to hit that subscribe button.
Absolutely. We'll do it again next week.
Peace.